In November, it's a bit windy up here. In November of 1989, people tore down the Berlin Wall, and 70 years of communist rule, a legacy of lies, slave labor, and genocide was over. Americans celebrated and cried tears of joy along with the newly liberated peoples of Eastern Europe. The Cold War had ended. Socialism was dead, right? Unfortunately, socialism was not dead. It was still alive and very fashionable in Europe. But the fashion is now fading, because as that great lady Margaret Thatcher once said, the problem with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money to spend. Well, it looks like socialist Europe just ran out of other people's money. And while European leaders are now cutting back spending and entitlement programs to avoid massive financial collapse in Europe, Barack Obama presses them to keep spending. Wait just a minute. Who is more in love with these socialist programs, European leaders or our great president, Barack Obama? The same man who demonizes corporations but thinks nothing of taking their money when it serves his political ends. Barack Obama, who we were told would be so skilled at foreign policy, has in 18 months chipped away and fractured once strong alliances with Britain and Israel. In his autobiography, he said that he made it a point in college to surround himself with Marxist professors. Not free market economists, not those who felt America is an exceptional nation, but Marxist professors. He continues to surround himself with Marxist professors and policy advisors who have his ear. One of them, who in fact is advising the FCC on internet policy, who said, and I quote, "In the end, there is no real answer but to remove brick by brick the capitalist system itself, rebuilding the entire society on socialist principles." Our president is praised by Fidel Castro, and he imitates Hugo Chavez. He treats our trusted allies like Israel and Britain with disdain. He turns a blind eye to Ahmadinejad's brutal regime that kills and tortures its own people, people whose presidential election was stolen from them, and who only want to join the modern world and no longer want to be an outlaw regime. Obama is silent about the silencing of free speech in Russia, Venezuela, and China. He does not scold Turkey, a once loyal NATO ally, for supporting Ahmadinejad in his effort to annihilate Israel. Instead, Barack Obama, when he steps off the golf course, saves his anger for you and me, the Tea Party movement, for those Republicans who won't go along with his plans to make a fairer and more socially just society, a Marxist utopia that you know and I know will be financially and morally bankrupt and make every American more dependent on the federal government. In short, Barack Obama vents his rage on those who stand in his way, those who are trying to prevent him from making America even more socialist. Well, I say it's time for more of us to stand in his way. First step is in November, and to vote in a Congress that will check this passive-aggressive president at every turn. It's time to return to an America that restores and defends freedom here at home, and an America that stands with people around the world who cry for freedom. It's time to stop the world from sliding back into the horror of socialism, Marxism, communism, or in the case of Iran, fascism. Call it what you will, the outcome is always the same. This socialist-inspired president and Congress and their attack on the Constitution remind us that our struggle to preserve, protect, and defend our freedom never ends. That's why we're here today. And this November, this president, this Congress, and state governments around the country too will get a lesson in freedom. To begin to take back our country, we need to vote out congressmen and women who trample the Constitution and continue to rubber stamp Obama's agenda. We need to vote in representatives who will adhere to the Constitution and protect and defend this country and our allies. We need to vote for good people like Carly Fiorina and get rid of Barbara Boxer. Barbara Boxer, who in her vast wisdom thinks that carbon dioxide, mind you, is a more dangerous threat to the world than Ahmadinejad and his nuclear weapons program. While we celebrate our Independence Day tomorrow, take a moment to think about those in the world who continue to look to America for guidance, for their fight for freedom and individual rights. Never forget that other Statue of Liberty, the one the Chinese students raised up in Tiananmen Square. Think back on how their protest of their oppressive government was snuffed out. Don't forget the people of Iran who want to escape the brutal tyranny of a fanatical religious orthodoxy. Think about how their protest of their oppressive government was snuffed out. Think of the news writers and commentators in Venezuela now in prison or hiding in fear from their own government because they dared to criticize Hugo Chavez. And be on the lookout for your own freedom of speech being limited or snuffed out right here in America. As Ronald Reagan said, America is still the last best hope for humanity on earth, but only if we defend our own freedom and remain free. When we do that, we shine a beacon of hope to the rest of humanity, to those who also yearn to be free. So please, vote and encourage your neighbors to vote wisely in November this year, and in November of 2012, and every election day in November after that. Because in the end, it will take that long to dismantle brick by brick this decades-long insidious buildup of socialism. Thank you. My name is Brian Watt.
Woo!
I can hear the barking.
That was great. Thanks a lot, Brian. At this time, we are quite excited to bring up our Congressman, Ken Calvert, with the 44th District. He made the trip all the way down from Riverside to say hello to everybody.